Hello friends, so today we have reached the fourth and final agreement. So if you haven't watched the other agreements or the other videos on the agreements, I recommend doing that because they kind of play off of one another. And this agreement brings them all together. And so the fourth agreement is always do your best. Knowing that what your best looks like depends on day to day, moment to moment. So for example, if you're not feeling the best, maybe you're under the weather, maybe you're super tired, didn't have a good night's sleep, super stressed, whatever it is, then your best looks differently that day than a day when you're feeling 100%. Your best might look different in the morning than it does at night. Your best looks different pre-COVID or post-COVID, if that ever comes, during COVID, right? So it's fluid, it depends on what's going on around you, but yet there's still an inside knowing when we're doing our best and when we're not, when we're falling short. And so this agreement is all about our willingness to show up and to do our best as much as possible. When we do this, we can even think about just the four agreements. When we are impeccable with our word, when we're not taking things personally, when we're not making assumptions, or when there's just other things in our life that we are really fully stepping into, being very intentional and doing our best, then we feel super pride, like just full of pride and happy. We feel like we're utilizing our time, our resources, and our gifts in the way that we're supposed to. When we cut ourselves short, maybe when we choose to lay on the couch instead of go for a walk, then we live with regret. That's a small example. But if we go through our lives making those choices, thinking that it doesn't really matter, and we'll do it tomorrow, or, telling ourselves those like micro lies, then we will end up at a point in our life looking back and having big regrets. Like, I never took the chance at this job or a relationship or writing or doing something creative. So we can have all of these amazing ideas, but if we don't actually act on them, if we don't do things to bring them forth, then we're not doing our best. Then we end up having these things and we can die with them inside. And that is so, so sad, because you are all sent here for a reason. I truly believe that. And each of us, a beautiful snowflake that has our own unique gifts, life experiences to bring to this world. And so when we're not doing our best, when we're not understanding that and living by that, then we not only sell ourselves short, but we're also limiting this world experience for other people too. Because when you're at our best, we affect other people. And that has that drop in the ocean where the wave ripples, it has that ripple effect, the butterfly effect. We're all interconnected. And so it's so important for us to be able to do that. And to know the difference of when we're pushing too hard, pushing through something when maybe it is a time for rest, because that's pretty easy to do in our society, because we very much value being busy and running and all that sort of thing. So sometimes doing our best is understanding and recognizing what's going on the inside and honoring that. And so sometimes doing our best is relaxing, is resting, is taking that time for just peace and stillness. So you can look at your life and you can ask yourself, like, where do I have fear? Where am I afraid to act? Or where do I keep setting myself up for failure? If there's some goal and then you end up not quite getting there, or you get there and then you go back to your old ways, just ask yourself, like, what is that about? Is there some fear or there's some blockage that prevent you from really getting to where you really want to go? Or maybe your goals aren't really for you, they're for other people. But then you have to understand, because if they're for other people, then there's a reason why you're not reaching those goals, because you're not it's not internally motivating for you. You know that there's just a disconnect there. But if it is something that you in your soul want to do, but there's a fear, because my gosh, like if it's like creativity or any kind of like self-expression, which a lot of it is, then that's a super vulnerable position to be in. And that can be very scary, but you don't want to get to the end of your life and have those regrets of not fully living, of not stepping into action. I get super passionate about this because so many of us grow up, and we talk about this in other videos, we grow up conditioned with stories, with belief systems. This is us doing, yes, other people might teach it, but we, for whatever reason, incorporate into it our own belief system to become our personal reality, our personality. And so we live by that set of rules when it might not really be ours. We have to shed that. We have to be able to understand what's true for us. That's what all of these videos really are about, is uncovering our own truth and being able to live by that. If everyone would do that, we would understand how divine we really are, like how much love we really have within us. Anytime we don't feel that, it's because there's a blockage to it. It's still there. It exists. We have to uncover it. And usually it means shedding those things that aren't really aligned with our own truth. And so when we have that, then we can recognize it in other people. When we can recognize it in other people, then there's no division. There's no, like, people can have a completely different opinion, and you can have those disagreements, but it's there, you still have so much love for them. We could never do harm to ourselves or to other people because we understand the sacredness of everything. And so also, but that doesn't mean, like, might sound woo-woo and I don't know, kind of out there. But on an like worldly level, then we end up showing up into our world, into our lives fully. And we do our best. We come and we're not afraid to be vulnerable. We're not afraid of what other people think of us, because we understand that that's about them, not about us. That our only responsibility is living with integrity to ourselves and our calling, and to be able to step fully forward into that, and to treat other people with kindness, to treat ourselves and other people with love and compassion, to make this world a better place. But it all starts with ourselves, with connecting with our purpose, with those things that set our hearts on fire, and to be brave and to get ourselves into action. And even when action means doing nothing. So I would just want to say that, because I don't want to send the message that we have to be doing. That's not it. There's a lot of theorists who say, like, when you're truly aligned with your passion or your purpose or those things that set your soul on fire, there isn't really hard action. The action becomes effortless. It's like the doors just open and you know exactly what you're supposed to do, and it doesn't feel like work. It just feels like home. It's what you're supposed to be. And we all have that ability with us. We all have this inner drive, this inner purpose. And it is our responsibility in this lifetime to figure out what that is. It doesn't have to be something big. It can be like, which this is big, the thing that, like, for me, being the best parent that I can be. So when you are doing this, when we show up and we do our best, it is the most beautiful act of self-love that we can ever have. Because then we are telling ourselves, like, we are worth it, that we can do it. We're holding our standards high, and we know that we can do it. We're not sabotaging ourselves any longer, that we're able to just really show up, be intentional, and go after whatever it is that your heart desires. And you will not live with regret when we can do this as much as possible day after day, knowing that we have to have forgiveness and grace with ourselves, because that's also doing our best. When there are days where it does not feel like you can do everything that you really want to do to reach your goals, that's doing your best. We have to know and discern the difference between giving up on ourselves or selling ourselves short and pushing too hard. If that's something that's hard for you, then that's where it's really important, that interoception piece, that knowing what's going on the inside. Because if we just go by what our brain says, who knows what it's going to tell you? Because remember, your brain got us into a lot of these messes that we have to deal with now, right? Not because it likes to make life more complicated, because it's based on survival. The main purpose is to get you to live as long as possible so you can reproduce and our species can carry on. It's not necessarily about thriving. And so then when we get to a point where our Maslow's hierarchy is taken care of, we can be like, okay, brain, we get it. You like to control things and you like to tell me these different things, but now we have to check in deeper. We have to check in with our heart. We have to check in with our gut. That intuition, that knowing that takes into consideration your history, the things that you've learned from other people's experiences, from your own, it incorporates all of that. And we have neurons in our heart, in our gut, This has been proven. So your heart has its own brain, stomach has its own brain. We know this. So then you can actually, it is communicating up. And we do have this true wisdom within all of us. And so we have to learn then to connect with that. So a lot of times that means like doing those daily practices of sitting in silence. If you want to do the breath work first, that's what I found to be the most effective, because then it connects us back with that wisdom within. Because if we're just going, and we believe that we'll think our way through it, then most likely a lot of times we're not really living by our heart and by our truth. We're living by our rational brain, which is truly not all of us. And so, and I get passionate about this, maybe you can tell, because you see it too much in the world where people are rationalizing, that we're working from conditioning, we're letting that lead the way. And then we deny such a huge part of us. We forget to play. Holy cow. Think about that. Like watching children just play for the fun of playing, and how incredible that is. And how now we don't even do that because who has time, or we don't want to look silly. And really like go out and do something, go swing, go do something that you wouldn't normally do. Dance. I don't know. But seriously, do that. Dance in your house when no one's watching, or if somebody is watching, who cares? But just do that and see how you feel after it. You feel goofy, you feel alive, you feel incredible. That's going to be my challenge. I just made that up right now. But do that. And those are the things that we don't ever allow ourselves to do. And then when we do that, it's like you connect with something. There's something that vibrates on the inside, a knowing of like, we should be having more fun in this life, because we're not. We are stressed out. Even though we have, our medical system is getting better, our mental health system's getting better, what our health conditions are rising, mental health conditions are going up, suicide rate is going up. So there's something there, right? Like think about that. We're evolving in our medicine and all of these things, and yet our dysfunctional stuff is still getting worse. So we're missing the boat. And I truly believe like we just have to come back to the power within. We have to come back to the real true connections within ourselves and with other people, and be retaught or remember how to have fun and to just truly like enjoy the small things, stop and smell the roses, all of those things that we are all capable of doing, and we need to give ourselves permission to do. So this is your message. Do your best. Show up. You only have this one life.